I do think O-line is a brotherhood that extends way beyond your own O-line room. I think it's we all support each other. We all want the best for each other. We all want each other to be the best. So I think it's pretty cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, dudes and dames, welcome back to another episode of the Sports Seriously NFL Vodcast, part of the Sports Seriously Network, proudly presented to you by USA Today. As always, I am your party host, Joe Rivera, and along with me, as always, two of the preeminent ball knowers at USA Today Sports, Jacob Camenker and Chris Bumbaca. Gentlemen, we're back. We're back. We have not been canceled. We are uncancelable, apparently. Boom, how was your
Don't
off
say
season,
that.
man?
Don't
No,
say that. We can make
yeah.
that happen real fast if we really wanted to. Great off season. I missed you guys. It's awesome to be back talking ball. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Jacob, how you doing, man? You gearing up for fantasy season? Gearing up for the Patriots season? I see you got your wardrobe good to go. How you feeling, man?
Yeah, well, I figured you'd be wearing something Knicks related, so I had to, support my team that made the Super Bowl last year. So, we got a little Boston, New York rivalry going on here. Boom and I were down at Foxborough this summer working some of the World Cup games. So we got some extra chemistry coming into this year. Feeling good about it. I'm ready for this NFL season, man. Let's get to it.
Yeah, let's get into
Football
it. And
to
guys,
football.
yeah, it's true. We had World Cup this offseason. Keep our minds kind of off the field, but still on the field. And, New York, New Jersey Stadium and SoFi and wherever else that we can't name. But guys, I hate to start on such a negative note here, but we know injuries are a part of football. Any head coach will tell you that. And already we've seen a handful of injuries throughout this training camp season. Not good. Tyler Biadasz, the Charger center, goes out with a terrible knee injury. We have a whole bunch of injuries here, right? A rash of injuries. So let's talk a little injury. Boom. Who's the player who's hurt, gotten injured in training camp, might be missing time? You think it affects their team the most?
Not only will it affect their team, Joe, it's going to affect coaching cycles and records and just about everything else you could imagine. And I have a few candidates here that I'm just going to throw out real quick. New York Jets and Breece Hall. That's a potential job ender for Aaron Glenn if he's not on the field, right? Same thing with Laramie Tunsil in Washington and Dan Quinn. You guys know I'm a Dan Quinn guy, but he's such an important piece as Jaden Daniels' blindside protector. Now Jaden's going to have to go out there and single-handedly do it really on that side of the ball. And he finds himself in a very similar scenario as C.J. Stroud did entering year 3. Obviously, Stroud and Daniels, we're not talking great about either guy on the internet right now, but I think it could get worse for Daniels, especially without Tunsil out there. The Bears and Kobe Bryant, this is a team that led the league in takeaways last year with 33. They were tops in the league in turnover differential at plus 22. He comes in from the Seahawks as one of those guys to replace Kevin Byard on the back end of that defense at safety, and now he's gone for a while. And then here's the one that we've all forgotten about, guys. Micah Parsons in the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, he's not going to come back until week 6, he says. And the NFC North is going to be the best division in football this year. It was last year. No team under 500, right? I love the coaches in that division. I love the QBs. Some of the defenses, though, are a little yikes for me. And that's why Parsons, in my opinion, is so important. He could tip that division, finally, in favor of the Packers, who, by the way, have not won the North since 2021. They had some guy named Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback, and it wasn't just yesterday.
Yeah, boom. All great points. And I think the Parson ones is especially interesting, especially given the quarterbacks in that division, right? You want to hit Caleb Williams a lot. You want to hit Jared Goff a lot. Michael Parsons is going to help you get there. And now with Kyler Murray added to the mix, I mean, who knows what the Vikings are going to be this year, but another guy who's going to scramble. So Packers desperately need Micah to be healthy. And I think the Tunsil injury, I feel like I don't want to say it's flying under the radar, but
No, it
this
is.
this is major, man. Like, this is a big freaking deal for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Like you said, some of these injuries, you mentioned Breece Hall, this is going to affect their coaching cycles, right? And you already get the feel that Dan Quinn might be a little bit shaky there. And I know injuries played a big part into their 2025 season. Didn't look great. Daniels was hurt, obviously, running for his life. And this is the future, or you hope is the future of your franchise. Use a guy like Tunsil. Jacob, I know that you got some injuries to mention here, but any thoughts on the Tunsil injury and what it could mean for Jaden Daniels?
Oh yeah, Joe, you know that my favorite thing in the world is offensive line play. So you've got to have a healthy and talented offensive line. Losing Laramie Tunsil could end up being disastrous for the Commanders. The replacement they have for him, I want to say Brandon Coleman. He's not bad. He can be a good left tackle. He played the position, I believe, during his rookie season. He'll be an okay replacement, but you're going from a guy in Laramie Tunsil who's, a perennial Pro Bowler. It's the guy who's been super consistent throughout his career. You're going from that on the blind side to a lesser known thing, and the remainder of the Commanders' offensive line is shaky. And it's funny because I think another major injury is a guy who played for the Commanders last year in Tyler Biadasz, who you mentioned. I mean, we're talking about Biadasz was a surprise release by the Commanders. I didn't love what they did at the center position after getting rid of him. I really liked what the Chargers did by signing him because the Chargers had arguably the worst center position in the league last year with, I believe it was Bradley Bozeman struggling in what ended up being, I think, his final NFL season. So Biadasz was supposed to be kind of an anchor in the middle of that line. Now he's gone down with a knee injury. I believe there's some damage to his ACL, according to the reports that are out there right now. So doesn't sound like he's going to be on the field anytime soon, if at all, this year. So now you're going from Biadasz to a rookie center, second round pick, Jake Slaughter, who has, some upside, but he's still a rookie. And you look at the guys flanking him at the guard position, and Coyote Owashika and Cole Strange, it's not exactly an encouraging interior offensive line setup there. Add in that Rashawn Slater's coming back from that torn patellar tendon on the left side, and there's been some murkiness about hey, how healthy is he? Is he going to be okay to start the season? And this line in front of Justin Herbert all of a sudden looks shaky again. Herbert was the most pressured quarterback in the league last season by a wide margin. So if he's under heat a lot again, I think that could end up sinking the Chargers season. A lot of people looked at them as maybe a Super Bowl sleeper, but if this offensive line can't protect Herbert, they're just not going to go far.
Cole Strange, UT Chattanooga. That's all I can ever think of when I hear Cole Strange. Les Snead and Sean McVay during that draft when the Patriots took him as a home out west. Now we'll see. And guys, from the negative, I'm gonna focus on the positive now, right? Let's talk some rookie passers. We always want new infusion of talent at the quarterback position, right? And we saw some pretty encouraging performances in preseason week one. It's preseason, all right? Everybody hold your horses, but Drew Howard didn't look so bad. Ty Simpson didn't look so bad. I mean, Cade Klubnik, short outing for the Jets. He didn't look so bad. But Jacob, obviously Fernando Mendoza, right? And the Raiders fell there. Their first preseason game. All these guys put on pretty decent performances in week one. But Jacob, who were you most impressed with of all of the rookie quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think you can make a case for a lot of these guys as being the most impressive, but the guy I'm sticking with right now is Ty Simpson. He just showed a very strong command of Sean McVay's offense across his extensive action. He demonstrated the excellent accuracy and ball placement that a lot of people looked at him as a prospect and said, hey, this guy has those skill set in the bag. That's what he's going to do at the pro level, and that could help him develop into an NFL starter. So he showed that. He looked really in command, just really good in that game. I know there's going to be some qualms where people are going to say, well, he didn't push the ball down the field that much. He settled for a lot of checkdowns and short stuff. And I understand that to an extent, but I think his major goal in this outing was to, build a rhythm and show exactly what he can do in this offense as he kind of battles for that backup job. And I think his performance should give the Rams, confidence in saying, hey, if this guy has to replace Matthew Stafford on the field at any point this year, he can keep this team afloat. Would you like to see a little more of him as a playmaker down the field? Sure. But I think as the preseason goes along, we might see a little bit more of that. But even if not, right now, he already looks like a guy who you could throw out there and say, hey, we need you to manage this game with a quality team around you, and he could get a win. So I think that's a really good step in the right direction for him, and we'll see what happens.
Respectfully, we can't be doing this with Stetson Bennett, right? We can't be. You took Ty Simpson in the first round. Why are we going to play this game, right? It never made sense to me. And listen, that's why I'm talking about football and not in a front office somewhere. But for me, you invest that first round pick in a quarterback. Why play the depth chart game? If you're taking him more than any other position, he's a guy that you want him to see the field at some point. Matthew Stafford, we know, he's been healthy in recent years, thankfully, but we know he's got an injury history, right? And are you going to play these games with Stetson Bennett, QB2 off the bat? It doesn't make sense to me, right? I guess the guy's ready when he's ready, but who knows? Boom, what do you think? You think Simpson's got a shot here at the QB2 job? how much emphasis do you put on preseason performances like these for quarterbacks?
Well, I'll answer the second question first, Joe. I put almost no emphasis on it,
Oh,
really. But I'll say this, yeah, I don't think I also don't think it's much of a debate that he's QB2. I really haven't taken a look at the Rams depth chart at the QB position. How do they have it listed right now? Is
I
it,
haven't taken a
I
I
believe
mean,
Bennett
I think
is
that for all
Bennett's
intents and
still listed
purposes,
number 2.
yeah,
yeah,
Bennett was
I
listed
don't
number
buy that
2,
for
yeah.
a second. That's not, that's not actual reality, right? And I think we saw that with Simpson's performance. Really efficient, like Jacob was saying. I didn't do a full film breakdown or anything, so I might not be speaking from the most assertive position here, but yeah, I mean, from all the reports I read and watched, look good. Good for him. He should. He was playing in the SEC. Same thing with these guys like Drew Aller. They should have nice week 1 preseason performances. They have played high-level football before. This shouldn't be that much of a surprise.
The SEC, just like the Sports Seriously NFL vodcast, it just means more, right? That's what they say. All right, boom. Another rookie quarterback here that I want to touch on here is, all right, Fernando Mendoza. We know the deal here. They're going to play the slow game with Kirk Cousins as a QB1. But how long do you think that chain really is? How long is the rope for Kirk Cousins at this point in his career? Like, do you think that if they get out to a 0-3 start, that they're going to want to throw Fernando out there to see what he's got? What do you think? What's your take on the situation, Boom?
Yeah, I think it was during one of our spring shows. I asked you guys which number will be higher, the number of Raiders wins in 2026 or the week in which Fernando Mendoza is named the starter. And I still think it's a fun exercise. So real quick, guys, what do we think?
I am going to go that the week Mendoza starts is going to be higher than their win total, just because I look at the Raiders and I look at what Kirk Cousins did in that first game. I know, granted, preseason action, but what Clint Kubiak has said about wanting to let a veteran start and develop Mendoza on the bench, I think we're looking at, maybe a week 7 debut for Mendoza. It could be earlier, but I don't see the Raiders winning more than maybe 6 games this year. So I'm gonna side with the Mendoza starting week being higher than the win total, but you could convince me either way. It's a real toss-up and it's a real fun exercise, man.
Great. Let me convince you real quick. Here we go. So the one disadvantage that Mendoza has here is that it's year 1 of the coaching staff, right? There's not a coach here who needs to put some wins on the board to prove himself. They're all playing kind of this long game situation that apparently Tom Brady has infused throughout the organization. I'm interested to see if it holds up, though, because basically dating back to Patrick Mahomes, who's the only guy drafted in the top 10 that sits for a year before he actually starts, right? Or at least that's the best recent example I have. These guys always start earlier than the organizations say they want them to. It's just how it goes in the NFL, because there's a reason why there's a quarterback drafted there. They need help at that position. They need to see if they have that franchise QB, because there is no advantage in this league like having a surefire quarterback on a rookie contract. We know this as a team building thing. So that's why I think Mendoza starts earlier than expected. And it's also why I'm taking the Raiders win total higher than the week in which he starts. I see him starting week 4, week 5, and I could see the Raiders getting to 6 wins this year, quite honestly. I think we're going to get an Ashton Genty bounce back. But, just to put a bow on the whole Mendoza starting debate, yes, I mentioned Mahomes. Yes, I mentioned that, that history. And as much as I like Fernando, he's not Patrick Mahomes, and he's not even close to injured Patrick Mahomes either. So I think he could be a good pro, and I'm excited to see him get started.
I think a lot of it, Boom, has to do, like, we know this in the NFL, right? It's all about how it looks too. Like, we could say this now that, like, okay, well, he's going to start week 7, week 8, or week 6, whatever it is. But if Cousins goes out there and he just looks completely washed the first 3 weeks of the season, like, we could be having this discussion, even if they're 2-1, right? Like, even if they're winning games out of the gate, like, we could say to ourselves, you know what? Cousins doesn't look like it, and it's their defense. We'll just say it's their defense that's getting the job done, or it's, they're winning on last second field, whatever it is. That changes the calculus entirely. Man plans, the football gods laugh. So I think it's an excellent point. It's all about how it looks. So we'll see. I think I'm kind of with you, Boom. I think that the organization, the Raiders, are going to want. They want their fans to see something, right? It's been a long time since they had something to look forward to. And I think keeping Mendoza on the bench it's it's not going to benefit anybody, right? Like, get this kid some game speed, get him game reps. There's only so much you can learn holding a clipboard. So we'll see how it works out. All right, fellas, let's switch from rookie quarterbacks to sophomore quarterbacks now. And quarterbacks face a lot of pressure in the pocket, in the locker room, to their fan bases, to their organizations. Guys like Jackson Dart, Cam Ward, Tyler Shuck, Shador Sanders, right? There's a lot of guys out there, second-year quarterbacks, that are facing a lot of pressure. Boom, let's start with you. Which of these guys, of Dart, Shuck, whoever else you want to pick, is under the most pressure entering year 2?
Well, you mentioned Shador. I kind of have him in a separate category right now, outside of those guys. So out of the other names you mentioned, I'm going with Jackson Dart. It has to be him. The media market, the new head coach. He's got the swagger. He's got the offseason social media presence. He's got the blue tent drama. Can he learn how to survive in this league? That's the main question I want to see him answer in 2026. He has to play at absolute minimum 15 games this year and look healthy in them. If he proves he can survive in this league, and I mean that literally, like, can he stay on the field? Because he can play. I think he kind of showed that last year. He can do it with the arm. He can do it with the legs, but can he do it week in and week out without constantly going off every few drives because an unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant whose job it is to protect players from themselves has to intervene because of the way he handles himself out on the field? So we will find out, and that's why I think he has the most pressure on him among these second-year QBs.
I'm curious, Boom, why you keep Shador in a separate kind of bucket than the other guys. Is it just the draft position? Is it what is it about Shador that he's not, is it the pressure? Is it the fact that, like, this is his NFL shot? Like, what is it about Shador?
Yeah, I think it is the last name. I think it's all the attention that he's received. He's been under this microscope for so long, and I just don't really buy that, like, his play this season is going to make or break his career. I think he has a longer runway to go just because he didn't get as many reps last year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think, listen, man, I don't want to put this kid's NFL career DOL. Like, I don't want to bury it at this point, but the more the preseason rolls along, and I know Monken is it's seemingly trying to be fair with that quarterback situation, at least from the outside looking in. I think the writing's on the wall for Shador here, right? Like, I this is it for him. And if he doesn't, he's going to get his shot with another team, but it just doesn't like this. Last season was his opportunity, and Stefanski didn't play him clearly because he didn't feel like he was ready, right?
Well, Stefanski never wanted him. Stefanski
Right.
and the coaching staff wanted Gabriel. That's
Right.
why they took him before him,
Right.
which is a choice.
Right. And listen, I think you look at the body of work that Shador had. I mean, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. It wasn't pretty last year. I mean, he gave you moments where it was exciting, but it didn't look, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing. And then you're seeing some of that in training camp and the competition, which just doesn't actively feel like a competition, honestly. Jacob, you got any thoughts on Shador and how that entire situation is playing out?
Yeah, I think I got to give Todd Monken some credit. He's been very fair in that competition and just kind of saying, I'm going to let these guys both compete. I'm going to let them show what they can do. And he's been true to his word. And it seems like that second preseason game, he's going to let Shador start and show what he can do. I watched the entire Browns game pretty closely, and I thought Deshaun Watson looked better than Sanders. I mean, Shador had some more downfield playmaking moments, but he also had that really ugly interception where he just badly overthrew. I think it was Malachi Corley. And we've seen that often from him where he just has some overthrows that end up getting picked off. I think you're going to look at Shador and say, he's still developing. I don't think he's going to be the starter this year. I don't think he's necessarily in a make or break year, though, because I think he could be the type of guy who could eventually, even if he's not a starter, maybe develop into a solid backup who can kind of push the ball down the field a little bit. He has shown growth with avoiding, the play you would do where he'd run 20 yards backwards into a sack. Like, we didn't see that in the preseason. So if he continues to work on that and work on his accuracy, I could see him finding a role in the NFL. But I don't know if it's going to be as a starter at this point. And he's having every opportunity to compete this year. He's trying to take advantage of that, but it just doesn't seem to be happening right now.
I think what Jacob and I are trying to say is that the other 3 guys are legit franchise QB candidates, and Shador's not.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And Speaking of guys, again, Jacob, who are hoping to be franchise quarterbacks and long-term solutions for their teams, which second-year quarterback you think is under the most pressure?
Yeah, so I agree with Boom. I think Jackson Dart is the guy because of all the factors that Boom mentioned. But I'm gonna also make the case for Cam Ward being under a lot of pressure to show improvement because like this guy was the number one overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft, and he did not have a great rookie season. I mean, it wasn't entirely his fault. Brian Callahan got fired fairly early on during it, so he's undergone a lot of turmoil. He showed some growth near the end of last season, but the Titans have sunk a lot of resources into trying to kind of make Cam Ward this whole thing work in year two. They drafted Carnell Tate, which was somewhat of a surprise at number 4 overall, not in terms of talent, but just few thought they'd go receiver there. They signed Wandale Robinson, and they brought in Brian Daboll, who, all the reports indicate that when he was on the Giants, he loved Cam Ward and may have considered, trying to target him in the draft if he had been available. So I think you look at all that and say they're trying to put Cam Ward in position to succeed. He is going to have to show that he can do that and take a sizable step forward, show some growth, because if things start to plateau, all of a sudden you might be going into year 3 of the Cam Ward experience saying, all right, this is the make or break year. So I'm excited to see what he can do. It seems like he's in a better situation than before with the offensive resources he had. But that offensive line in front of him is the big question. Is he going to be able to navigate that? I'm not sure. So we're going to see what happens, but I'll be keeping a close eye on him in addition to Dart.
All right. Well, one of the most established quarterbacks in the NFL right now, Baker Mayfield. We'll see how long he is for Tampa Bay. Protected up front by Tristan Wirfs, and boom, he had an opportunity to catch up with the All-Pro tackle. What'd you guys talk about?
We ran the gamut, Joe. It was an awesome conversation. Tristan's a great guy. We talked about his memories playing as a rookie alongside Tom Brady, and then, of course, what it's like to block for Brady compared to Baker, and then some fun stories about going up against Vita Vea in practice, and also our Iowa versus Wisconsin roots. It's a great chat.
Yeah, sounds like a great listen. So let's take a listen.
I know O-line rooms are really tight. Does that extend, beyond a locker room, the fraternity of offensive linemen? Like, you guys talk about technique and stuff, and who are some guys across the league that you have formed bonds with because of that?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Like you said, O-line in itself is a brotherhood, like, and in your respective room, but I think across the league, like we kind of have each other's backs. I mean, you see Deion Dawkins, just created basically out of thin air the Protector of the Year award for O-line now, like at the NFL honors. So that's huge. But I think that's kind of how all of us are as a whole. But some guys that I've talked to, like Lane Johnson's a big one. He just hosted like there's probably 7 or 8 guys out at his gym in Oklahoma this offseason. Just got together for a week to train, hang out, eat, like chop it up. That was a really fun time. But I do think O-line is a brotherhood that extends way beyond your own O-line room. I think it's we all support each other. We all want the best for each other. We all want each other to be the best. So I think it's pretty cool.
Is there a guy over the last couple of years, and maybe there isn't an answer to this, that you have noticed and said, man, there are elements of his game that I want to start incorporating into mine?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say I mean 100%. I think you take a little bit of everyone. I watch Penny Sewell, I watch Trent Williams. My entire life I watched Tyron Smith, Lane, Laramie Tunsil, like all these guys. All these guys are incredible football players and incredible human beings. But at the same time, like nobody moves the same. We all have different bodies. We all do things a little bit differently. So you want to make your game your own. But 1,000%, like I watch all those. I watch all those guys because they're some of the best at what they do, and it's incredible to watch them be great offensive tackles.
For sure. We're recording this on a Tuesday. You came back to practice on a Monday. How is the health right now? And just how do you feel heading into this season?
Yeah, I feel really good. Excited to be back out there with the fellas. We got came back just in time for some crazy heat here in Tampa. But no, it feels really good to be back out there and to be moving around with the guys.
Yeah, what is the vibe right now at training camp? How would you characterize that?
I think they're pretty high right now, honestly. I mean, we are in the dog days of camp, I'd say. We got a little 4-day stretch here, and it's a hot week in Tampa. So I'd say these are the dogs. Coming back from a joint practice up in New York. So we had a day off, travel day, and then back in it. And we got the Chiefs coming in town, on Saturday for preseason week 2. But yeah, it goes by fast, man. It goes by fast, but like, where else would you want to be? You're here all day with your boys, just trying to get better.
For sure. Are you a fan of joint practices? A little bit more philosophical question. Some guys love the work. Some guys say that it might get a little too intense. Or where do you land on that?
I don't know. They are what they are, honestly. This is my 7th season. Like, I've had a couple joint practices now, and um you can get really good work. It's nice. I think the first time, like, getting somebody else, I think, especially for old linemen, you kind of get used to what, your D line is showing you, like, stuff like that, their moves and everything. So it's nice to get exposed to a new guy and a new pass rush package. But at the same time, like, they can get they can get very chippy, and they can get not a waste of time, but it's just like, like, we're trying to get work done, and it's, if fights keep breaking out, it's like, what are we doing out here? And then if then there's a second practice the following day, that one's always,
Exactly.
that one's always crazy. But it is nice, like, getting to see new guys, and you kind of get that. You're like, okay, like, I'm tired of hitting my own guys, hit my own teammates. Now it's time to hit somebody else. I think that's probably where it starts.
No, absolutely. And I mean, your guys' leader there in Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
What is being Baker's teammate like? I know that's a basic question, but just take that wherever you want to go.
That's a good one, man. I mean, Baker's Baker. I mean, we've seen him for a long time now be who he is, and I think he's in a place now where everyone like supports that. We want him to be the best version of himself. And he's going to go out there and lead guys to the best of his ability, and he's a very fiery competitor. He's one of the most competitive people I know. And it's super easy to want to go to war for him. It's he's at the front of the charge. He's leading the pack, and we're all going to follow, and do our best for him. So it's pretty special to be his teammate.
You've blocked for a couple of very tough guys, Tom Brady included, Baker included. But with Baker, is it different? Just his play style. Does it change anything about how you approach your matchups?
I mean, a little bit. I talked about this summer. Like, Baker's gonna extend the play. Like, we've seen it now for a couple years. I mean, his whole career pretty much. He's gonna make stuff happen on his feet, and we wouldn't want it any other way. He's a playmaker, he's a baller, he's a gamer. And I think, when you, like, with Tom, like, Tom was in the pocket, like, you knew where he was gonna be at. The D line knew where he was gonna be at, but with Bake, it's been great. I had to change that internal clock a little bit. We all kind of had to change that internal clock a little bit, like, knowing, like, okay, like, if someone's not open, like, he's gonna go make something happen, and, like, that's who he is. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible to watch.
No, always a fun watch with Baker. And then kind of a similar question now with the backfield for you. Kenneth Gainwell, I found, was a really nice add and a great 1-2 punch with Bucky. Do you change at all your style? Kind of same question, depending on who's in the backfield.
No, I don't think so. I mean, we got three really good guys who've
Sean Tucker as well.
Yeah, Sean Tucker. They all are damn good running backs. We have 3-headed monster back there, and I think they're going to do really good things for us. I think Kenny G like you said, was a great addition for us. We know Tuck and Bucky. We know what they can do for us. And I think all three of those guys are gonna do big things.
Now that leads me perfectly to my next question, Tristan. Tyler Shuck, the New Orleans Saints, and then the rest of the division. What does playing in the NFC South mean to you, and what has it taught you just about life in the NFL, being in the NFC South?
Yeah, I going into my 7th season now. Like, I think the NFC South is a really solid division. I think, from my experience, there's been good edge rushers in this division for a long time now. And as a tackle, like, I love that. I love those matchups. I want to continue to grow and continue to be, a good pass protector. I want to keep getting better, and keep improving. So I think, since I've been, since I gotten drafted, it's been fun. And I think now it's a passing league now. So, that's what we're asked to do. And I love it. I can't get enough of it. So, it's It's been fun. It's been I think it's been competitive. We've came out on top a couple times, of the division, and it's been great. And I know we want to keep that going and get another division title.
Absolutely. You obviously the edge rushers are your main counterpart, but within the Bucks, I'm sure you get some reps against Vita Vea here and there. What is it like going against that guy?
Yeah, Vita's the man. I mean, me and him gotten pretty close these past couple of years, and I think, a cornerstone of our defense. Um, but man, I tell you what, it's tough in practice, especially on a hot day here in Tampa, and you break the huddle and you see Vita Vea across from you. Like I don't get it as much as like our interior line does.
Sure,
Like
yeah,
sometimes he'll
absolutely.
be out. Sometimes he'll be out on the edge, and I'm like, what are you doing out there, big guy? But no, I know our interior always has their hands full with him. I mean, hell of a player, hell of a leader. But I tell you what, yeah, it's not fun blocking Vita.
You don't want to be out there when they're, repping stunts and stuff coming
No,
on the loop around, and then
no
there you
way,
are.
no way. You don't want to be on the receiving end of that.
What's like the craziest thing you've seen him do in the gym or just like athletically, assuming that you guys have spent some time training together and working out?
I tell you what, one, you got to go look at Vita Vea's high school running back highlights. They're unbelievable, unbelievable. But two, the craziest thing I've seen him do was I think it was 2020, 2023. We're playing the Titans at home. He lines up at the left edge spot, and ends up getting a sack. But like it was a penalty. Like it was face mask. Like his helmet was to the side. Um, just crazy. But I mean, the way he moves, like for being like the size he is and how athletic he is and how mobile he is, like it's unbelievable. Like Vita's an incredible athlete and an incredible football player. It's crazy to watch. It's actually unbelievable.
No, he is also a blast to watch. You guys just have a lot of entertaining fellas over there on the
Oh
Bucks
yeah,
between yourself and Vita and Baker and now Kenny G and all them. I like
absolutely.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
We talked about Tom a little bit before, but to be a rookie drafted as he got there and then winning the Super Bowl your first year, I'm sure tremendous memories. But what do you take away? Like, what did you take away from being around Tom that meant the most to you?
Oh my gosh. I think just what it takes. He was very big on that. Doing all the little things right, to have success. 2020, we went through a little slump there, but I remember him, getting the offense together and being like, everyone's got to be on the same page. We can't, it's what I don't even know how to say it. It's all the little things that are going to add up that are going to take us far. Like we can't half-ass our way through the season and expect to get there and expect to do this and expect to do that. You have to be intentional with everything you do in order to find that success. And just watching the way Tom worked and watching the way he recovered and watching the way that he ate and just took everything extremely serious. I mean, like if that's our this is our job. We get to play football for a living, so why not make the most of it? But him being able to have the type of career that he had, the best football player of all time, the best football player to ever, touch the face of the earth. Like it's pretty special that I got to be, a part of that and got to be his teammate and just learn from him and watch him and at the end of his career and get to protect him honestly and get to be a part of that.
No, that's really special. That's super cool. And you're a Hawkeye. I'm a Badger. I'm glad we've been able to be as amicable as we've been this entire time. Who puts out the better O lineman? I know you're biased.
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one. I gotta say the Hawks. I gotta say the Hawks.
Sure.
Robert Gallery, Brandon Scherf, Brian Bulaga, Marshall Yanda. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't know.
All right, that was an awesome chat there, Boom. It's good to see that Tristan should be healthy to start the season. Seeing as he is one of the best tackles in football, and forget the Jets took Mekhi Becton over Tristan Wirfs, but I don't lose sleep over that at night or anything. Anyway,
That doesn't sound like the Jets.
it's always something, man. Anyway, all right, I want to end this this podcast on a little bit of a game, fellas. And we know we're still weeks away from real NFL games, but this doesn't stop anybody from letting their imaginations run wild of what could be, right? So I wanted to play a little game called Call Stands or Overturned. So I'm going to hit you with a statement, and you tell me if that call stands, if it's fair, or we should overturn it as if it's unfair, all right? Jacob, let's start with you, my friend. The addition of Von Miller makes the Cowboys legit Super Bowl contenders. Does that call stand or is it overturned?
It's overturned for me, Joe. It's not about the Cowboys not being contenders. I think if you look at them on paper, you could say, hey, this team could end up being really good. Their offense looks great. Their defense should be much better than it was last year. So I'm actually agreeing that they're contenders, but I'm just here to say that I don't think the addition of Miller at this stage in his career is much of a needle mover. I know he had a lot of sacks last year in Washington, but he only logged a 12.2% pressure rate, and he played about 37% of the snaps. So he's a quality role player, and I think his mentorship in that defensive end room will be valuable for guys like Malachi Lawrence, their first-round pick. But I don't think that Miller is really going to impact how I view the Cowboys this season. It's sort of one of those things where it's like, oh, nice, they have him. But I'm not going to say like, oh, Miller's joining them. This is going to make them significantly better than they already were.
This is a call stand and not overturned or even confirmed, because before the Dallas Cowboys even signed Von Miller, here might be the take of the episode, they were Super Bowl contenders. They are Super Bowl contenders. Dallas, I could see them winning the NFC East. I could see them making their first NFC Championship game since Jacob and I were born, basically. And I think Dallas is going to be better than a lot of people think this year. Year 2 of Brian Schottenheimer. That offense was humming. I love the Christian Parker hire on defense, the Caleb Downs pick. I think that they'll be able to get something done this year, and I'm really excited to watch the Cowboys. Call me Chris ESPN. I'll be pounding the Cowboys table all year long, or maybe just until the end of the week. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. These things have a tendency of evening themselves out. Listen, you touched on Caleb Downs real quick. I really think one of the most underrated moves of the offseason, right? Like, here's a guy who could have went to the Giants at number 10. Giants passed on him.
Could have gone to the Giants at number 5.
Could have gone to the Giants at number 5. Everybody thought he might be a top 10 pick safety, but I think Downs is going to add a lot to that Cowboys defense with the caliber of player that he is. So we'll see. All right, Boom, let's stick with you real quick. The Giants season will implode due to injuries once again. Does that call stand or is it overturned?
Overturned. No need to assume the worst right now, but some metrics, if you go out there and you look at the net injury games missed and stuff, have the Giants at the top or near the top of the leaderboard over the last 4 seasons when it comes to time missed due to injuries. Harbaugh brought in an entirely new training staff. It was kind of like a big deal because the Giants had some longtime employees in that department, but they all got shipped out. Harbaugh brought his desired team in. So, again, with the Giants, like same thing with Jackson Dart conversation earlier, the floor is theirs. It's up to them.
I'm going with call stands here, and I hate doing that because I don't like to, speculate on injuries if I can help it. But look, we know the types of players that Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo currently are with their playing style. I mean, Cam Scatabo is going to try to run through you at all costs, and then you look at Jackson Dart, and he just hasn't shown an ability to protect himself yet. I'm hoping that he will, because as we've referenced many times on this podcast, he's a very exciting player to watch. But I'm worried about the two of them staying healthy, and if they aren't able to stay on the field, this offense could be severely hamstrung by that. And yet, and Malik Neighbors has come back from that significant, I believe, ACL tear. So there's been a little bit of murkiness about how ready is he going to be. So we'll see if he's close to 100%. But those 3 playmakers having the injury concerns worries me about this team. I think you make a good point, Boom, about the training staff being different, and maybe that makes all the difference in the world. But I just keep thinking back to John Harbaugh's Ravens teams. Now, those teams were very often injured as well. So I just want to see what happens here. So I'm a little bit worried about this whole thing.
I think the biggest name not mentioned there by either of you when it comes to the Giants is Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas is on the field. The team looks a lot different, right? And he's going to be the key to a lot of what the Giants do. So we'll see if the Giants can stay healthy this year. Hoping for it, right? We don't root for injuries, but some question marks, as Jacob mentioned here. All right, shout out to our guy Tristan Wirfs. But does this call stand or is it overturned, guys? The NFC South is the most wide open division in football. Jacob, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with call stands here, Joe. You can really convince me that any team in the NFC South could win it all. You'd have the hardest time convincing me about the Falcons just because of their current quarterback room scares me, even though I've liked Tua and Michael Penix as prospects.
I think it scares Falcons fans too, to be honest.
Yeah, it should scare everyone.
Scares me, and I don't really care.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, outside of the Falcons, I think, the Panthers, they added Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd to that defense so they could win the division. Buccaneers have been consistently in it throughout the years, even despite their turnover offensive coordinator that's pretty constant, so they could win it all. And I think the Saints are kind of a fun sleeper team this year. We talked a little bit about Tyler Shuck earlier. He looked really good in the second half of his rookie season as a starter. I think if he takes a step forward with those offensive additions around him and David Edwards and Travis Etienne Jr., or I'm sorry, Travis Etienne Jr.
Etienne.
Yeah, it's Travis Etienne now. That's how they like to pronounce it. And Jordan Tyson. I think Shuck could take another step forward. And I have a lot of faith in Kellen Moore. I think he's doing a good job. So Saints are a sleeper team to watch. So yeah, pretty wide open. No one would surprise me winning this division except maybe a little bit the Falcons.
I'm just still laughing at Jacob saying that's how they like to pronounce it. That's hilarious. Yeah, no, I think that's just his last name, right? And we were saying that's a funny story. So, but yeah, that's going to take a lot of getting used to for everybody. Achan is not the other Achan in Miami.
Well, he pronounces it ETN now. So no, I'm just kidding. But...
Oh God. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, call stands. That the NFC South is the most wide open division in football. And I don't think it's necessarily a good thing if you are a fan of good football, because as we've seen last year, that division was won with a sub 500 record because nobody actually wanted to win it. It was like nobody went out and claimed it. It was just went to the default Panthers there. And yes, those were my Panthers for years. And guys, I have a big announcement. I'm out on the Panthers going forward. It's over. We had a great romance. We got them to the playoffs. It was worth it. They took the Rams to the wire. I was so proud of them. But I'm out in 2026. I simply am. First place schedule. Too many injuries already on that offensive line. And I love the Jalen Phillips signing. I know Dan Morgan has gone out and tried to, get the pass rushers. The Milton Williams deal fell through 2 off seasons ago now. I just don't see it for them this year. And I'm really sad about it. But my feisty cats are no more for me. I will have a new pet team in 2026, so we'll stay tuned for that.
R.I.P. Feisty Cats, 2025 to 2025. Terrible winning. All right, this. I think this is on everybody's minds, guys. I mean, new stadium, Josh Allen, new dad, new head coach. The vibes feel different in Buffalo. They can do it. The Buffalo Bills can win the Super Bowl this year. They can get back to the Super Bowl this year. Is that call stand or is it overturned?
Overturned. No coach really gets that to the Super Bowl in year one. And Joe Brady, I'm sure, will do a fine job leading that offense, but I just don't see it for them this year. Still too many question marks on the defensive side of the ball with that roster. I like Jim Leonard a lot as the DC, but I think just those players were meant for Sean McDermott's scheme, and I don't see it going too well for them, at least at the start of the season.
Yeah, I'm with Boom on this one. I'm overturning it. I like the Bills enough. I mean, Josh Allen having DJ Moore should help him offensively, but that defense is just too big of a concern for me. So their run defense just isn't good, and they haven't made a ton of proven upgrades to that. Same with their pass rush. I know they've added some players, veteran Bradley Chubb. I believe they drafted TJ Parker in the second round, but they still don't have that like proven guy that I can look at and say, yes, this defense is going to be different. Jim Leonard, I think to your point, Boom, very exciting hire. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. But there's going to be a transition period for that defense, and it's going to take a lot of time for them to kind of get things figured out. I don't know that it happens this year. Maybe next year will be the year.
Jim Leonard will be a head coach in 4 years, maybe, and he should be the head coach of Wisconsin right now. So,
well, I was going to say Jim Leonard was a baller when he played with the Jets. Big Jim Leonard guy, so it hurts me a little bit to see him head to the Bills, but can't win them all, right?
He's that perfect blend of like football genius, but Rex Ryan tough. You know what I mean? Like I just the entire makeup of him is perfect.
All right, guys. The last one here that I got for call stands or overturn. Patrick Mahomes, coming off the injury, will be in MVP conversations this year. Will he be in MVP contention this season, guys? I mean, Eric Bieniemy's back, and you look at the numbers with Bieniemy gone. Chiefs offense wasn't great, and we know that Andy Reid calls the plays there, and he's the guy. But what do we think? Jacob, let's start with you. Patrick Mahomes will be in MVP contention this year.
I'm overturned on this one. I'm not buying that, and listen, I think it's more about their plan for bringing Patrick Mahomes back from this first really severe knee injury of his career. And I think you can just look at their big offseason signing to show what they're going to do. They signed Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl 60 MVP, to a big deal to be a true workhorse back behind him. And what I foresee happening, Joe, is early in the season, I think they're going to go more run heavy than ever before under Andy Reid. I know that's a weird thing to say because Andy has this tendency to just abandon the run at times, but I think they're really going to ease Patrick Mahomes back into action, just make sure he's okay before they fully unleash him. Whether that takes 4 weeks, 6 weeks, the first half of the season, I think his numbers are going to be suppressed a little bit. And I just don't know that this Chiefs team is going to have the massive bounce back season that would require Patrick Mahomes to become an MVP candidate, because I see them more finishing in that 9-8, 10-7 range. They play in a tough division, and they still have some big holes on this team. So I'm going to say no on Patrick Mahomes' MVP candidate this year. I don't know what the comeback player of the year criteria is anymore. That confuses me now.
I feel like he's a lock for that.
Yeah.
No?
I
We'll do
I
our
would
award
think
show
so.
later, but
Yeah, that's my thought process on this whole thing.
What do you think, Boom? Mahomes MVP 2026?
no, overturned. Just because, like, all the reasons Jacob said, basically. Although when Jacob said that the Chiefs are going to ease him back, all I could think about was the Kevin Durant famous tweet, like, there is no relax on this app, bro. Like, that's how Patrick Mahomes is on a football field. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see him easing into anything necessarily. But I don't think that means that he's an MVP candidate. And I think the Chiefs are actually going to be better than people think this year. I think that they actually have a shot at making the playoffs and even in the division that they play in. I just don't see Mahomes being in that top 3 MVP spot because, like Jacob said, who knows how the beginning of the year goes. And also the weapons. There's nobody to throw to, really.
All right, guys. So we wish we could have been with you, fair listener and fair viewer, this entire offseason. But, other stuff happens. Life happens. Vacations happen. So there's certain offseason storylines that we wish we could have gotten to. We could have voted about, but we couldn't. So there's a couple here. So I'm going to take this one. I think the Myles Garrett trade, to me, is one I wish we could have talked about, right? Because you don't sign a guy to trade him, right? Shout out Dave Gettleman. He's a guy that was one of the stalwart pieces, one of the best defensive players in the NFL, and he goes to Los Angeles, and it's Hollywood now with the Rams. Like, we could have spent days talking about the Myles Garrett trade. So that's one. Jacob, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, we could have had some fun voting about the wedding, man. Like Travis and Taylor and all those guests. Like, we should have done a live stream. We could have graded their outfits and all that stuff. Me with my immense fashion sense, I think I only ever wear hoodies. I think that's the kind of hard-hitting analysis that people want during the off season, the event of the off season there, man.
Jacob is probably an amazing wedding guest. I don't think he leaves the dance floor. That's my prediction of how Jacob comports himself at a wedding. Yeah, the offseason storyline that we probably could have discussed but didn't because we weren't recording. Well, I guess being up here in New England, it's pretty obvious. The dramas involving their head coach. And I guess we'll just leave it at that.
So we want to thank you once again, fair listener and fair viewer, for listening to the Sports Seriously NFL vodcast, proudly presented to you by USA Today Sports. For Chris Bumbaca, Jacob Camenker, Mike Vrabel, I am Joe Rivera, reminding you and thanking you for taking sports seriously.